reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
The Rewind Sports 60.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast by yours truly, Jerry Riles, and the Honorable Dr. Chad Prodromos. Dr. Prodromos is an orthopedic surgeon at Illinois Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Centers in Chicago, Glenview, and in Naples, and an orthopedic surgeon at Prodromos Stem Cell Institute. He's also the editor-in-chief of the Anterior Cruciate Ligament, Reconstruction, and Basic Science. Doctor, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jerry. Thanks. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I just wanted to make sure I get that out for you and, make you sound even more important that you're very important. There's no question about it, but I wanted to give credibility to your status, your title, and your persona. Thank you, Doctor.
Important than anybody else, but I appreciate the thought.
You're very important. Are you kidding me? Without you, we don't have the podcast. That's true for sure. Hey, Doc, there's so much going on in the world of sports. And again, I am very, very appreciative that, we have crowned a national champion as far as college football is concerned. That, of course, congratulations go out to Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide for winning a national championship title. Of course, the Los Angeles Lakers win the NBA title last year. The Los Angeles Dodgers, they win the baseball crown. And of course, we're moving forward to the National Football League with the Super Bowl. Congratulations to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs who are advancing again, opportunity for a repeat. And of course, the greatest of all time, still playing at the ripe old age of 42. And of course, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ready to square off in Super Bowl 55 down in Florida. You love Florida, that's for sure. But they're expecting a crowd of 22,000 fans to be on hand to witness this extravaganza. Your thoughts on the Super Bowl matchups and, of course, COVID-19 and the precautions that need to be taken to get this thing kicked off?
My thoughts are that it's a great idea. My thoughts are with the fans, what took them so long. We all want to be safe, but you've got an outdoor stadium where you require masks, you can have social distancing, and so risk should be pretty minimal. Florida has been arguably the best run state in the country on a number of fronts, in terms of doing what's rational instead of politicians being overprotective for whatever reason. I think meaning well, but usually just being not as informed as they could be. So I think it's great. I think it's great. The Super Bowl, I think it's a great example of normalcy because, as I say, there's abnormalcy imposed, I think, beyond what it needs to be, and having this out there where things are closer to normal, still with precautions, is a great example for the rest of the country.
No, I think it's great as well. But again, when you talk about the great United States and the independent states as far as how they tackle handling COVID-19 and the virus here in Illinois, we know that the numbers are continuously going down, and the vaccines are available, although it sounds as if they're running short. But as you talked about, the state of Florida just continued to move forward and plow through this. And of course, they're going to be hosting the Super Bowl down there. 22,000 fans. I mean, do you trust people to be responsible? I know we've seen fans in the stands at some of the collegiate games around the country and, some professional games, but 22,000 fans enjoying the biggest game on the stage.
Yeah, I do trust people, and I wish politicians trusted people more than they do. There are going to be a few people who aren't going to wear a mask, right? It happens. But, you look around and people, not only I think are most people responsible, I think most people have gotten so terrified by the media portrayal that I don't think it's a problem. And as I said before, it's an open air stadium. You can socially distance. You wear masks. I think it's going to be fine.
So here's the big question, Doctor. And it's again the media, the news media, which I'm a part of. I've seen it swayed in both directions on both sides with this new variant that's hit the United States from the UK, now out of South Africa, saying it's more contagious, and the social distancing that we're practicing now, minimum 6 feet, that with this new variant, this new strand, that we may have to take more precaution, i.e. double masking. And it's already hit certain states, South Carolina, here in the state of Illinois, and other states around the country. Do you see that being somewhat of a problem by next week when we get to the Super Bowl, that it may have to have a little bit more focus and attention placed on it?
So, Jerry, I don't. I could be wrong. And obviously, I hope it's not a big problem. But this is just one more in a continuous stream of items about new things that purport to say that things are going to be horrible. And so far, they've turned out not to be. I gave the example before about the well-meaning doctor, I think at Penn State, who said that something like a third of the football players are going to have heart problems from this, and they don't. I think more contagious doesn't particularly matter. If it were more deadly, that might matter. But nobody said that. So I think it's just, I think it's a combination of a lot of unfortunate factors. I think bad news sells. It's like I'm kind of weird analogy, but I don't even listen to the weather in Chicago anymore, because every year, 3 times a year, we're going to have a blizzard of the century, and it's going to be horrible, and it's and I don't mean to minimize it, and there are people that get affected by it, but I don't know, it's Chicago, it snows and it gets cold, and so you just prepare. But bad news sells, right? So I think saying, wow, we've got a new variant, as a teaser for the evening news, it sells. So not necessarily blaming the media. The media's always been that way, So there's that. I think that I've said it before. I think that there are a lot of politicians who get carried away with their own authority. And so I think these provide excuses for them to do more than they should. And, you can go beyond that to various things that sound like conspiracy theories, and who knows, but it's kind of a fact. The more negative things you put out there, and the more you shut down society, the more small businesses go under. Now, that's, everybody publicly agrees that's a bad thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, there are some corporations and some people that are doing very, very well from this, right? And so there are conspiracy theorists out there who kind of think that it's a semi-permanent situation to make us like China in Asia, where they wear masks forever, and that you're constant. There's always a new variant. There's always a new this. There's always a new that. So the history of this thing has been so egregious and so horrific, as I mentioned last time, with overstating the death, starting with Neil Ferguson at Imperial College and his terrible track record on models, and then applying a bad model to this. So I haven't seen anything that leads me to think that things are going to be significantly worse as a result of this variant. I mean, and going back and not to be too long-winded here, but there are real consequences to alarmism. I brought up about poor Governor Cuomo of New York. I'm sure he's a nice man and I'm sure he loves his constituents. But his action to force people out of hospitals into nursing homes, everybody agrees, I think, resulted in many, many unnecessary deaths. Now, I'm not saying I think his action did that. I don't necessarily blame him. I certainly don't blame his motives. But think about this. Why did he do that? He did that because people were estimating that the hospitals were going to be so overwhelmed, we'd have no respirators and no ICU beds, that you had to clear the hospitals in advance of it. Well, it turned out to be not even close to being true, right? They brought that Jacob Javits ship in and all this, and they had more than enough. President Trump, love him or hate him, made it a point to get enough ventilators, and nobody's been short of ventilators. So there are Democrats, Republicans working together. But my point is just this. You can just say, well, better to be overly cautious, but alarmism has definite consequences. So alarmism in that case, false alarmism, resulted clearly in thousands of deaths. Not questioning anybody's motives, but it did. So I'm just saying, lockdowns, extra precautions have real world negative consequences, which it's easier to ignore than it is the death count from COVID. So I'm just saying it's a bad thing, and people shouldn't adjust their behavior on alarmism without really good justification.
No, and I certainly agree with that, Doc. I think it needs to be justified as far as why we as a society do what we do, to the defense of those. Because here's the real issue from my perspective. This is something almost paramount that we've never seen or experienced in our lifetime, and that includes our leaders. As high as the Washington D.C. is concerned, to local leaders, to the storefront and the entrepreneur, business owners. This is something that we've never seen before and something we haven't experienced before. So for me, it's kind of learn by trial and error and learn on the job, so to speak, because there was points in time a year ago at this time where it was looked upon as, it's just a little virus like the flu. It'll be gone within a matter of, weeks to months. By the time the temperature raises, it'll be gone. To leaders saying you don't need to wear a mask, to now in January of 2021, they're talking about double masks. So I think it was hit and miss for everyone involved, including the average layperson, the average citizen, because we just simply didn't know. Some people overreacted to the information that was being presented. Others turned a deaf ear to it. So I think we're all in this together. And for me, the best case scenario is to maybe play it to the safe side, because we simply don't know. And I kind of compare it to the AIDS epidemic back in the late 80s and early 90s, when it first ran rampant in this country and around the world. We didn't know, and there were some false prejudgments and accusations and all sorts of things, conspiracy theories that evolved from that. But we learned over time to let science do its job and let the experts do their job. And we got a control and got hold of it, and it's under control, and we found a solution for it. So I kind of apply it to the same of what we're going through today. And I'd rather be safe than sorry, as they say. And you cannot question the more than 400,000 people. Boy, I guess you can, but the more than 400,000 people that have died from this virus. Whether you believe the number and the cause is another concern, but as of now, we're on a record of reaching 450,000 people to die from this. So for me, And again, I applaud those in the sports world that we were able to watch from collegiate sports to professional sports on weekends to take our minds off of this. But I would not want to be in the shoes of these experts and these scientists because they truly, in my opinion, don't have the answer as well, and they're learning just like we are as we go. My prayers are in hope that we can get control of this thing and get back to some new normalcy.
This question, you said be safe. Question for you. Do you think that people, when they lose their business, have adverse health outcomes? Do you think that there's depression and suicide and drug addiction and people failing to go in for health checks and living poorly and gaining weight? So do you think there's a consequence to excessive lockdowns?
Yeah, of course there is a consequence. I got a good friend of mine, and he runs Let Us Entertain You. He runs a restaurant in a neighboring suburb of here in Chicago. And when everything shut down, I physically saw his mental state and physical state change because of the pressure, because his livelihood and those that he's responsible for. So I certainly know that it has an effect on those people involved. And I know that there are people who were happy that the state here in Illinois was allowing in dining again. There were employees crying that they were able to get back to work. So I know the effects that it has, but I also know those individuals who won't be saying hello to family members or friends because they didn't listen to the warning signs, and that individual is no longer with us. There's a family down in Texas ignored the warning signs and everything of the virus, and 7 members, they had a party, and 7 of those family members succumbed to COVID-19 and the virus and are no longer here. So it's a double-edged sword, in my opinion, and it's almost a crapshoot or a roll of the dice. How do you approach it? How do you tackle it? I think the NBA did a fantastic job last year by having the bubble and staying strict and stern on the players' comings and goings. Now that they're out and available to travel and go here and there, we see that there's a different approach and a different effect as far as what's going on. So it's a very, in my opinion, very, very difficult decision to make. And I think we all personally have to make that decision, what's best for ourselves and our family and those that we come in contact with. And I'm hoping that, again, the light is at the end of the tunnel and we're close to getting to that light.
So the thing of it is, the basic point is that lockdowns haven't helped. And they've compared places that have them and places that don't, and they just don't help. Excessive restrictions just don't. You get consequences, you get deaths, you get suicide, you get mental health problems, you get more cancer deaths because people don't go in for their checkups because they don't want to leave the house. So lockdowns kill people, kill lots of people. That's the one end. In the middle, social distancing, probably masks are good. Okay. At the other end, the things that really would help dramatically are being suppressed. There's treatment that works. Hydroxychloroquine clearly works. Ivermectin clearly works. I had a patient call me today, and I'm heavily involved in this, as you know, and he didn't know anything about it. He said, "Hey, ivermectin's used all over the world." There was a recent court case where a family wanted to get treated with it. The hospital said no, and they sued, and the judge said, "You got to let them," and another place as well. So, why should that be? So what I'm trying to say is this: the middle ground, common sense, mass social distancing, absolutely, and some restrictions, absolutely. But on the one hand, the overreaction kills people, absolutely kills people. So you can't just say be safe, let's overreact and shut down. You're killing people. You just are. So it just shouldn't be happening now. And on the other end, there are things that we could be doing to save lots of lives that aren't being allowed to be done for
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest boys show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chillin' with Lauren Cox and the man Marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Rouse and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politic.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're streaming live on Facebook. Yeah, we're in space as well. Broadcasting from the illustrious studios of WCPT 820 AM in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago, a very snowy city of Chicago, in the fantastic neighborhood of Jefferson Park. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60, the fastest hour in sports conversation. Let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. You love him. He's not over at Wrigley Field shoveling the snow on the bleachers. He's not over at Guaranteed Rate Stadium over there shoveling the dugout out. No, he's not doing that, ladies and gentlemen. He's not even over at Soldier Field trying to bail those guys out, even though there's no games over there. He's not at Wintrust Arena. No. He's not at the United Center. Ladies and gentlemen, he's in the studios of WCPT 820 AM. He is the one. He's the only. He's known as the Marvelous One. He's Dan Marvel. What's up, Marvel?
Hey, Wintrust Arena. UConn was there today. The women, you know. I think they won by 33, so it was a slow day for them. But I'm Superman, you know.
Are you?
I've had the first vaccine. I am Superman.
No, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, pretty soon I'll be able to breathe all over you.
Take it easy. Take it easy. When'd you get it and how'd you feel?
Thursday, no problem at all. But, you know, I've talked to a lot of people. It's kind of like they ask me where I got it. I say it was bootleg because I'm afraid to tell anybody because it's like gold to find this. It's like some people are trying online for hours and they don't get anything. But I got clued in because my daughter's a teacher, so she helped me find it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because they were out in, was it Elk Grove yesterday at Hawthorne, the school district?
Yeah.
And my pharmacist from the Walgreens out in the Wheeling area on Dundee Road, she was actually one of the people distributing the vaccine to people.
Well, I walked into my local Walgreens before all this, and they told me to get lost. They don't have it, so I went online and
get out of here.
Yeah, we ain't got it. But I would ask people to, when they can, to take it because it's going to end this thing more quickly.
Yeah, it hopefully, it's going to end this thing more quickly. And of course, they're fighting back and forth in Congress as far as our lawmakers are concerned, as far as the amount of dosages and all of that good stuff. But I think for the most part, if you can get the vaccine, certainly step in line and take care of yourself. But as important, if not more, mask up. Distance yourself. And this snow has been able to help people distance themselves for sure.
And if necessary, double mask.
Double mask, yeah. By the end of this year, we're going to have to wear a whole helmet.
Yeah. And a visor.
Yeah. But please, stay safe. Wash your hands. Mask up. Double mask if you have to. And certainly social distance. Because we can get past this. And as our president, the current one, said, hey, listen. It's going to be kind of tough. It's going to be kind of bleak. But we can get through this. And Dr. Anthony Fauci, along with the president, said we can manage it. We can get through it. Even with the 3 additional strains, variants that have hit the United States. But if we all work together collectively, we can certainly do it. And as far as mass transportation is concerned, airplanes, trains, buses, across the country, Marvelous, you're going to have to mask up.
Sounds like a movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, certainly does. But ladies and gentlemen, it is the fastest hour in sports conversation, a Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. You want to hit us up, our number here is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We got a lot in store, and we're looking forward to having a fantastic show, so we want you to be a part of it. Stream it live on Facebook if you missed any portion of the broadcast. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and, of course, the Rewind Sports 60.com. Great guest list as well. Looking forward to having Fred Mitchell join us shortly to talk about the news that broke on Thursday regarding Northwestern and the cheerleaders, the lawsuit. But before we get into that and join Fred Mitchell on our TRS60 hotline, how have you been able to deal with all this snow, Marvelous? A foot of snow hit Chicago from yesterday till today, and it supposedly said they were going to stop at 6 o'clock today. Yeah. But as I came into the studios, I could see the flurry still hitting the ground.
Well, it reminded me of 10 years ago when we had the snowmageddon and people were stranded on Lakeshore Drive in 2011. It was February 1st and 2nd, so it's pretty close to this. And the other big one was in January of 67. I think there was 23 inches. Mm-hmm. And, so there have been worse ones, but this was pretty bad. And the key is you don't want to give yourself a heart attack shoveling it, of course, and just take it easy and do it in doses.
Yeah, do it in doses. Take it easy, and when you're out there shoveling, if you don't have the snowblower, if you're out there shoveling, use your knees. Mm-hmm. Bend your knees. Don't put all that strain on your back, mm-hmm. because it'll catch up to you. Believe me. So,
amen.
Yeah, I had the fortune of my beautiful wife Lisa handling the snowblower, and of course yours truly using the shovel, and we got things done. But of course I had to get out there again, Marvelous, and shovel. That's the one thing I hate about it. I appreciate it. I know it's part of what we do here in the city of Chicago, but and I don't mind necessarily going out to shovel the snow if I have to do it, because I got to get the car out of the garage and get the driveway all cleared and everything. But I really don't like going out 2 and 3 times to shovel.
Well, they do a great job in Northbrook, for example, of clearing the streets. But then the problem is you have a 10-foot wall at the end of your driveway, and then you get rid of the wall, and then you get more snow, and you have a 5-foot wall. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I don't like, and I know the boys in Wheeling, they do a fantastic job. Pat Horker, the village president, he's up for an election again coming up soon. So good luck to him. But the boys that handle the crews in the Wheeling area, they do a fantastic job. But I don't like the fact that they're plowing the streets, but they're pushing that snow right up on the driveway, and I got to get right. And it's heavy snow, Marvelous. It's not the powdery stuff that's coming from this is the heavy, dirty stuff.
Yeah, my sister used to live on the end of a block by a busy street, and boy, did she get it. They'd really pile it up off the main street right into her driveway.
Wow. So, hey, all of you out there, stay safe, drive safely. There are a couple cars on the road coming in on 294 to Tri-State South, and there are a couple cars that ran into the ditches. Drive safely. Take your time. You will get there. But be careful, be cautious, be polite, and just get there when you get there, but drive safely. We want to make sure you certainly do that. We already got a phone call. Let's go out to Ed calling from Ed. Ed, where are you calling from, buddy?
Rankin, Illinois, downstate from you about 95 miles.
That'll boy. How are you? You all safe and sound inside?
Yes, sir. We didn't get near as much snow down here. It's still coming down, but very light and scattered.
Yeah. My daughters are at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and they said the same thing. Had an opportunity to talk with them earlier today, and they said the snow is, they were getting snow, but it wasn't to the amount that we got here in Chicago. Again, a foot of snow in the great city of Chicago. What's on your mind, Ed?
Yes. Hank Aaron, and I know he was playing in the lower market areas, and no doubt written through the years that he wasn't given the attention or recognition that he deserved. Came up in 54, and my statement may be arguable, but in 56 the Braves might have had the first all-black outfield in the major league.
In 56?
I believe so, and there may be somebody that would disagree with that, and they may disagree rightfully, but I think it was the Braves that had the first all-black outfield.
Who can you name them?
Yes. Wes Covington came up as a rookie in 1956.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Bruton was a center fielder, and of course Hank Wright.
That wasn't a regular lineup, though, was it?
Yes.
It was
a everyday ball player.
It was a regular lineup. I had you heard about that, Marvelous?
Yeah, but I got the Giants with Monty Irvin, Willie Mays, and Hank Thompson. I'm looking it up in 51. So that's listed.
Hank Thompson became a third baseman later, and a real good one.
Yeah,
that's food for thought.
Hank Thompson died tragically at the age of 30, if I'm not mistaken.
What were your thoughts on the great Hammerin' Hank Aaron?
I was fortunate enough to follow baseball about the time he came up, and the calmest man you'd ever see, and you cheering him when you're in their like a rookie, and of course your stomach turning, but his demeanor was calm, and if I get a hit, great. If I don't, I might strike out, but hey, I'll be back another time at bat. And he was nothing but short of super.
No, he was outstanding, and I obviously had an opportunity to watch Hammerin' Hank as a kid growing up on the south side of Chicago, here in the great city of Chicago, and it was especially when he tied and broke Babe Ruth's record. It was overwhelming for a young black kid to be able to watch this black man, and kudos to television back during that time, because they kept a track of Harry Aaron closing in on the Babe's number, and once he did it, he received the praise and the accolades, and it was kind of scary at the time, because back in '74 when he hit the homer and he was rounding the bases, you see the footage, the video, historic, where the two white guys jump onto the field and they run. And at one particular time, I think it was Vince Scully, they made the announcement, but I think people kind of like collectively held their breath, because leading up to it, Henry Aaron was getting all these death threats.
Absolutely.
And people didn't know what these two young white kids were going to do, if they were going to, congratulate them, or if they were going to pull out a switchblade and try to stick them. Luckily and fortunately, and God bless that, it didn't happen, and they patted him on the back. But I look at Henry Aaron, and I look at him as being the best home run hitter of all time, for the simple fact that everything that he had to endure as an African-American ball player back during that time was very, very stressful, very, very difficult, and certainly challenging compared to what Babe Ruth. I mean, Babe Ruth was like, he was the life of the party. So everything that Henry Aaron had to overcome to still focus and concentrate to accomplish this great feat. In my opinion, he's the greatest of all time as far as home run hitters are concerned.
Not only that, but he had a batting average of 305.
Unbelievable.
And RBIs, 2,297.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And he stole 240 bases besides.
But again, you think about it, you go to bed at night and you're getting all these death threats, and you still got to focus and get out there the next day and do your job, and Henry Aaron was capable of doing that.
They had cops in the outfield, I believe, too.
Yeah, they certainly did. Ed, anything else before we let you go?
Yes, he was given a not very honorary number, way high up there, 44, and Jackie Robinson was given 42.
Mm-hmm.
And another piece of trivia: Al Downing, the pitcher, that he hit the home run off of, was the first black pitcher with the Yankees.
He was the first African American pitcher with the Yankees.
Yes, sir.
Ed, you're the best. Thank you. We appreciate your support.
One more.
I'm sorry?
One more.
Okay.
Danny Carlino in the early 2000s had a radio show down the dial in the morning, and he gave terrific interviews with people, and he did a editorial on Danny Mack at the end of one of his shows, and the little boy Danny is an interviewer that's really great.
Yeah. Hey, Eddie.
You all are, of course. You're in the business, and you're all very good.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. Ed calling from Lincoln down in the downstate.
That name sounds familiar. Danny Carlino.
Danny Carlino, the Italian stallion. Real quick before we go to our guest, we got John calling from Wheeling. John, welcome to the Rewind Sports 60. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, Jerry. How about you?
I'm hanging in there, brother. Made it here safe and sound through all that snow and ice. There were people skidding all over the place, sliding in the ditches, but yours truly paced himself, got himself down the road, Milwaukee Avenue, safe and sound here in the studios. What's on your mind, buddy?
I wanted to talk about the idea of the Chicago Bears giving the Payton family a 1% stake in ownership of the team. I think it's a great idea, and that they should do it. And there should probably be a petition going around the city of Chicago and all Bears fans to sign that petition to show the McCaskey family that Bears fans are serious about this idea.
Hey, Juan, why do you think the Bears should give 1% ownership to the Payton family? What leads you to think that that's something that they should certainly honor and do?
Well, aside from the fact that Walter Payton was the greatest football player both in Chicago Bears history, and certainly one of the greatest football players ever in the history of the National Football League, I think obviously the legacy speaks for itself. Obviously, the representation as well. I think, both from a publicity point, but, it's well-deserving as well. I think it really would help bring more ideas and also rejuvenate the franchise to help it get to the next level where it needs to be, and also to give more recognition to minority ownership that is very low in the league.
Hey, Juan, thank you so very much. Very well said. And we want you to continue to give us a call and let us know your thoughts and your opinions, because we certainly believe that the great late Walter Payton and his family, his son and daughter, Brittany Payton, and, of course, Jared Payton, certainly should have at least 1% ownership of the Chicago Bears. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you. Stay safe. We got that thing going a couple of weeks ago with the chairman, Chicago Bears, George McCaskey, and here's a little bit about what he said regarding the great late Walter Payton.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with all of the reasons that Walter's bid for a team in St. Louis was not successful. I know that we supported it 100%. Walter was a member of our board of directors so that he could be prepared for that eventuality if it ever came about. I'm sorry that it didn't, but Walter's place in the hearts of Bears fans and in our family is solid. I remember my mom, after Walter passed away, said that she and my dad promised themselves after Brian Piccolo passed away that they wouldn't get too close to a player again because it was too painful when Brian passed, and they were able to keep that promise to themselves until Walter Payton came into their lives. He just had an irrepressible personality. Once he decided that he wanted to be in your life, there was no denying him.
There was no denying it. And of course, you certainly wanted to be in his life. The great late Walter Payton, may he rest in peace. But it's something that I certainly believe. And again, that was the chairman of the Chicago Bears, George McCaskey. I think it's long overdue. Marvelous.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is, Walter would be 66 now, only if he was still alive.
Yeah.
And so he'd be maybe he himself would be on the board.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've gotten some questions from people to say, well, what about the family? Does Jared and Brittany, are they even interested or even want to entertain the idea or the thought of ownership, 1% or 49% or whatever the case may be? And my response is, well, if their father was honored to join that fraternity and become a minority owner of a National Football League team, they probably would be working for the organization in some type of capacity. So, they're doing fantastic work at what they're doing respectively. But if their dad had the ownership of the St. Louis Rams or any other team, they certainly would be working for their dad, in my opinion, whatever team that is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. This is the Rewind Sports 60. We're going commercial free. We go to our TRS60 hotline, ladies and gentlemen. He is a friend of the program. He's a former Chicago Tribune sports writer and columnist. He's currently a adjunct professor at DePaul University. He's on our TRS60 hotline right now. He's the great Fred Mitchell. Fred, how are you?
I'm doing okay, Jerry. Good to talk to you. Hope you're staying warm.
Well, we're staying warm, and I was able to drive in from the northern suburbs, Fred, and I made it safe and sound. Although to the left of me and to the right of me, I saw some cars in the ditches and off the road. So that was a sign definitely from the man upstairs to say 10 and 2 on the wheel, and don't even drive the speed limit. Just drive carefully and safely to get to where you have to get to. So yes, doing well. Hopefully you're safe and sound as well.
I am, so far. Knock on wood. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time out on this Sunday to join us, and we won't keep you long, but we just had to reach out to the great Fred Mitchell and pick your brain on a couple issues regarding the world of sports here in the great city of Chicago. You heard the soundbite. I was going to start off with the Northwestern University cheerleader lawsuit, but you just heard the soundbite of George McCaskey talking about Walter Payton and his ambitious failed attempt to get ownership of the National Football League team. What were your thoughts back during that time regarding Walter's pursuit of becoming a minority owner in the National Football League?
Yeah, I had interviewed Walter and talked to him several times leading up to the disappointment of not getting the ownership of the St. Louis team. I know he was looking forward to it very much so. I think so many professional athletes, after they retire, especially the great ones like Walter, look for something that can provide them something close to the excitement and energy that they had when they were playing. Seldom do they find that, but Walter thought that ownership of an NFL team would provide that. As you recall, he was involved in a number of things after his playing career. He was in the auto racing business, and he was in manufacturing business, and he was on the board of the Chicago Bears. He was doing quite a bit trying to find that niche. So I just do remember how much he was looking forward to becoming the first minority owner of an NFL team in St. Louis, and it was disappointing to him not to get that.
Yeah, it certainly was disappointing, not only to him, I'm sure his family members, Connie and the kids, and even Eddie Payton. We had him on last week, Fred, and asked his thoughts on the possibility of should the Bears offer a 1% proposal to the Payton family. And Eddie said that certainly Walter was disappointed. And the disappointing thing about it is the fact that Walter knew the work that it took and what he had to put into it to accomplish that. And of course, he had the financial backers. And you talked about being on the board of the Chicago Bears. Walter did that to learn as much as he could the ins and outs and the behind the scenes doings of running a professional outfit. And for him to come up short it certainly was it was a crushing blow, no question about it. Real quick, I'll give you the response of George McCaskey a couple weeks ago when we posed the question to him regarding 1% ownership of the Chicago Bears for the Payton family.
Well, we think the world of the Payton family, Connie, Jared, Brittany, and so proud that they are still members of the Bears family after all these years. Just think the world of them. I can't speak for Brittany, but I know we can't afford Jarrett. That guy, his demands would be too. I'm kidding, of course. I have a great relationship with both of them. Mm-hmm. They're absolute naturals on the air, and just a great family. We think the world of them.
And that is George McCaskey's response regarding the question. And, you know, some people have also asked, Fred, and we're, well, what's the money factor regarding this? And my response to them regarding, this idea is the fact that I don't think the money is the issue. I think for all the contributions that Walter Payton, blood, sweat, and tears that he gave to the organization, and Papa Bear George Halas loved him like a son. But for everything that Walter Payton did for that franchise, did for the city, and his accomplishments around the league, he deserves, his family deserves consideration. And the fact that we're still talking about something like this in 2021, and we see the amount of African American head coaches who were not hired for 7 vacancies, only 1 with the Houston Texans, the qualifications, the African American athletes in pro sports and pro football, they're there. But there's still the Rooney Rule that has to be addressed in 2021. So in my mind, in my opinion, it's definitely long overdue, and no amount of money can pay tribute to what Walter Payton means to the Bears, this city, and the National Football League, Fred.
Yeah, I mean, I think all you have to do is look at the Walter Payton Award, which is, and most prestigious NFL award. It's they market it and support it throughout the league. You hear it during most every NFL game. The man of the year nominees from each team, and talk about the community service aspect of the award more so than the playing part of it. And that shines well on the Bears as an organization, as well as Walter and his family. And no question that you'd like to see more action in addition to the words about what he meant to the league, what he stood for, what he represents. All of those intangibles should manifest themselves to the point of action. So there's been a lot of talk and a lot of sort of a awakening in America over this past year, and all the terrible things and tragedies that have happened and that have come to light. So hopefully moving forward there will be some steps taken by the National Football League that support these feelings and these events and these long overdue measures, like you mentioned.
Hey, Fred, this is Dan Marver in the studio. How you doing? I was reading your bio, 41 years of the Tribune. That's remarkable. And I think there's a little-known fact. Is there still a Fred Mitchell Award for the nation's top collegiate place kicker?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
It goes to the best kicker among 750 colleges in America, non-FBS schools. So we're talking about FCS, Division II, Division III, NAIA, and community colleges in America. This has been in place since 2009. This year, unfortunately, we did not have a season during the fall for the smaller schools. So I really missed
Yeah, I
missed
see.
that.
Yeah,
But,
the Missouri Valley starting
part
up.
of the criteria.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Part of the criteria is kicking in community service.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the FCS, the Missouri Valley starting a spring season in 2 weeks, so that should be interesting. See how that goes. But some of them are doing a spring season. Yeah.
Hey, Fred, we know your time is short, and we appreciate you taking the time out. We got a transition regarding this latest news, the lawsuit that came out that was announced on this past Thursday. Northwestern University, former cheerleader, alleged that there was inappropriate sexual activity and conduct taking place while she was a cheerleader there, and so she filed a federal lawsuit against the Northwestern University. Marvin, I don't have the story in front of me. You want to share a little bit of information?
Well, the woman's name is Hayden Richardson, and basically it says that her complaint is that he had repeated instances where she said she was groped by drunken fans and alumni during university-sanctioned events, alleging the cheer team's head coach required female cheerleaders to mingle with powerful donors for the school's financial gain. And then actually the story was backed up by a second individual, I believe, by the name of Erica Carter, who says that this occurred between 2016 and 2018. So it's not an isolated incident, apparently. And obviously, you think of this as maybe something you'd see at Alabama or someplace like that. So maybe Northwestern's made the big time, but this is terrible.
Your thoughts, Fred?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know the exact details and what has been submitted, the complaints, when they were submitted, any of those details to verify. But I will say that if this indeed did happen, it's reprehensible. It's not part of what the cheerleaders sign up for when they want to cheer for their teams. I would not be surprised to hear similar stories throughout the country, unfortunately. And, a lot of times these cheerleaders are asked to make appearances at fundraising events, among the general public, donors in this case, and people take advantage of the opportunities and situations and go too far. So this is something that needs to be checked out and monitored. Like I said, I don't want to make any kind of definitive comment because I don't know specifically the details of what happened.
Yeah.
But if they did happen, it's somebody needs to be accountable for that.
There's no question about it, and I certainly agree with you. Someone definitely needs to be held accountable, and of course we don't have. I mean, right now it's her, word against theirs, so to speak. But I have two daughters at the University of Illinois currently right now, one a junior, one a senior, both studying engineering. And, before I sent my kids off to school, they know what to do, what not to do. If there's, if there's some type of questionable, situation occurring, certainly get away from it. But they know how to conduct themselves, and they know when someone is not conducting themselves. And so as a parent, I hand my kid off to the university, but I prepare my kids for the experience. And again, we understand that it's college, and that's where, kids are going to learn and grow and experience and all of that good stuff. But when you talk about responsible adults, and in this case, boosters, it doesn't matter if the girls are, the cheerleaders are asked to attend an event, to help encourage these boosters to, sign a check. We get that as part of the program. But I think these boosters, they need to conduct themselves right and wrong. And I'm not pointing out the finger at Northwestern University. Marvelous touched on it. We know that these sort of things happen all around the country. I think it's the adult in us that need to be responsible and understand that there's a line that you don't cross, especially when it comes to, college-age kids and college-age students and females. And you have to conduct yourself in a professional business manner. And she's alleging that alcohol was even encouraged for her and the other cheerleaders to, indulge in, and they were underage. So it is a very, very fine line, but I do put the responsibility on the adults because that's who they are. They are the adults, and they need to take full responsibility for their actions. Real quick,
No question about it.
Real quick before we go, we got to ask you about the Bears, Deshaun Watson, Fred. You've been covering this team and in this town for many years. You've done outstanding work. You're award-winning sports writer and columnist. When they talk about Chicago Bears and you talk about quarterback, the name that comes around first is Sid Luckman.
Yeah.
Sid Luckman. Fred, we know what's going to happen or what's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you had a chance to get a quarterback who his college coach compared to him said he's the Michael Jordan of football.
Yep.
If you had an opportunity to get this guy, because I think the Bears are one quarterback away from advancing in the playoffs, because they made the playoffs based on this system this year. Would you throw all the marbles in there to get this kid, Deshaun Watson, knowing that he is somewhat available, said he wanted to trade? How would you handle that situation?
Well, I would do more than just kick the tires. I would, say, what does it take? What would it take to acquire him? It's obvious that the most glaring missing link in the Bears is the quarterback position, and it's been that way for quite some time. And we get excited over the years when you get somebody like Jay Cutler, who was turned out to be average at best, and you just wonder, well, what would it be like if you had a Aaron Rodgers type quarterback, like or Brett Favre type quarterback, or anybody who was exceptional at that position. And Deshaun Watson, the Bears and other teams, made the mistake on draft day as far as not taking advantage of getting either him or Patrick Mahomes. This would be a chance to redeem themselves. And as I said, what would it take to get this guy? He's so young, and this has so many tools that you can only imagine how he would be embraced by the city, by the team, and be a key part of the organization for many, many years to come.
Yeah, to me, it's almost a no-brainer, and I understand, he comes with a lot, and you don't have much cap space, but for me, and it's unfortunate, I think that it's just business as usual as far as the Bears brass and operating, but with this situation, because I truly believe, Fred, and you can correct me, you've seen a lot more football than I have and played a lot more football than I have, but I truly believe with Nagy's system, and with the players, David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen, when he comes back, I don't know what's going to happen with the wide receiver position. The line, I think if they stay together, I think they could form to be a very, very good unit. I think they're a quarterback away from really being a respectable offense week in and week out. They're a quarterback away.
Yeah.
To me, they got it. They would have to. I don't know. I would do it.
Yeah, I would definitely do it. I mean, like I said before, he's got all the tools, both as a passer, as a runner, just a big playmaker. He doesn't hesitate. The one thing that I look at when I look at the great quarterbacks is that they make their decisions quickly. Aaron Rodgers gets rid of the ball immediately. He knows where he's going with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Favre was the same way. Tom Brady's the same way. All the great quarterbacks are able to do that. They don't sit back in the pocket for 5 or 6 seconds looking around, surveying the field, and forcing something to happen after that. So that's sort of a savvy attitude that a quarterback has to have, sort of an innate ability. And you can see Mitch Trubisky is as hard as he tries and as earnest as he is, and as however much time he spends in the film room, all these things are great. But his instincts aren't the best on a consistent basis. He has his moments, but I think it's a combination of getting the right quarterback and also Matt Nagy growing as a coach, and whoever ends up calling the plays next year has to be very cognizant of who the quarterback is, what his skill set is, and what situations you want to put him in. Because I blame Nagy as much as anybody in the first couple of years of Mitch Trubisky for asking him to do some things that he wasn't comfortable doing, had not enough experience doing, and you have to really be aware of your players and your talent on your team and make the most of it. And that includes play calling and having a healthier balance of running and passing. All of these things come into play.
Real quick, here's what Mayor Lori Lightfoot had to say about the Bears' offense and Mr. Trubisky.
Is Nick Foles the answer? We're going to see once they get out on the field and start putting it together on the offense. But the inconsistency of Trubisky over these last few years, it's just, even in the year that we had a great run, what you saw, I think, last year was the inconsistent offense wasn't producing. I thought the play calling was very pedestrian.
Fred, that's the great Mayor Lori Lightfoot on your Chicago Bears. Hey, we can spend a lot more time with you, but we do appreciate you taking some time out. It is the fastest hour in sports conversation. In 10 seconds, who do you take in Super Bowl 55 down in Florida next week?
Oh boy, I would probably go with Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. Tampa Bay has played well late in the season, especially, and they're a very, very formidable team. I always just root for a good game to enjoy, a competitive game.
Yeah,
I think we will get that, and I just like the playmaking aspects of the offense on Kansas City when they get rolling with Kelsey and the running back and Mahomes. They're pretty tough to outscore.
Yeah, as long as it's entertaining, I'm pulling for Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, but definitely we want it to be entertaining. I think you got two of the best quarterbacks that ever played the game, the young guy and the GOAT. So hopefully we get that excitement. Fred, thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure to touch base with you, and happy Black History Month to you, my good friend.
Oh, same to you, Jared. Good to talk to you.
Take care. Stay safe. We'll talk to you down the road.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Fred Mitchell joining us on our TRS60 hotline. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the fastest hour in sports conversation. Marvelous.
Take my vote for Kansas City as well.
There you go. There you go. Marvelous.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing football.
During our show.
On a high school level.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, well.
Your thoughts?
Well, they're going to be playing basketball first.
Well, I didn't ask you about that. I asked you about football, Marvelous.
Well, football will be in March.
Well, that's what I'm asking about, Marvelous.
They're going to do 6. They're going to do 6. If all goes well, they're going to do 6 weeks of basketball, starting this Saturday, the 6th of February, and then when that's over, they're going to do 6 weeks of football, starting in March.
Okay.
Okay. There'll be no postseason, no playoffs. So basically, it's like for example, the Central Suburban League will do 5 weeks of home and home. That's 10 games. And then they'll do the 6 crossovers for 16 games. So that's pretty good. 16 games in 6 weeks. The football will do the same thing. You'll have the 5 weeks of playing your conference opponents. And they're thinking about the last week, maybe having the top team in the Central Suburban League play the top team in the Mid-Suburban, like 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, just so there's something that they're playing for at the end of the year since there's no playoffs. So that's the plan. I mean, my daughter's team is planning on playing on February 10th basketball, which is a week from Wednesday. So as long as we're in the clear with the ability to do this. I think they're going to have to play with masks.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different with no fans.
For those of those people who are just tuning in to the fastest hour in sports conversation, the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT 820 AM, who's your daughter? I mean, you said my daughter's
yeah,
so
he's the head basketball coach at Willows Academy in Des Plaines. So very proud of her, and maybe we can have her on as a guest.
Yeah, maybe we can have her on as a guest. And we do have another guest on our TRS60 hotline, ladies and gentlemen. He's one of the top running backs in the city, playing high school basketball for the Crusaders of...
Yeah, Brother Rice.
Brother Rice. I drew a blank there. I was going to say Crusaders of Holy Cross because my brother played for the Crusaders of Holy Cross. But this young man plays for the Crusaders of Brother Rice on the city's far south side. He's on our TR60 hotline, ladies and gentlemen. He's a 5'9", 175-pound senior running back. He runs a 40 and a 4.47. This guy is blazing. Ladies and gentlemen, he's pleased to join us on the hotline. He's Joshua Bell. Joshua, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Hey, good, man. Thank you so very much. I kind of drew a blank on the Crusaders of Brother Rice, and I shouldn't come up with a blank because my older brother attended Brother Rice High School way back in the day. I'm, of course, a Catholic leaguer from St. Rita. I had brothers that went to Quigley South, and my sister went to Maria High School. So we're full of Catholic leagues, man. But welcome to the Rewind Sports 60. We appreciate you, man, and your thoughts on the announcement that high school sports and high school football is going to be starting up again.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it, because it's like the players get to finally play, and we just been waiting for a long time to play. So I'm really happy, and it gives the seniors like one more chance to finally get film and stuff.
Were you anticipating this announcement coming? That hopefully eventually you'll get an opportunity to get back on the gridiron and showcase your talents to get to the next level.
Yes, yeah. I always believed it was going to happen. My coaches, they really had faith in it, and it gave us, my teammates, and me faith that we was going to eventually have a season and everything.
Hey, Joshua, this is Dan in the studio. With the weird season and all, with the COVID, how did that affect your recruiting?
Well, it didn't really affect it that much. I've been talking to two schools mainly. I narrowed it down to two schools. The University of Dayton and University of Valparaiso. So I'm really talking to them too. But I'm pretty sure once the football season began, I'm going to talk to more colleges. So I'm happy about that too.
No, we're happy about that too as well. And Dayton and Valpo are pretty good programs, no question about it. But as a kid growing up, is this part of your dream, your goal to play high school sports in the great city of Chicago at a top level, but also to showcase your skill set at the next level, as far as college football is concerned? Was this what part of your goal, your dream as a young kid growing up?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like every kid's young dream who plays sports to make it to the next level.
And what school was that you wanted to play for collegiately? As a dream.
You're talking about like a school that
a dream team, yeah.
So when I was a kid, I'll tell you my dream real quick. When I was a kid, how old was I, Marvelous? Maybe like 10 or I fell in love with The Ohio State University, and it was around the time that Archie Griffin had won back-to-back Heisman trophies. And when I fell in love with the great Ohio State University, I said to myself, I'm going to go to that university and I'm going to play football and I'm going to win the Heisman Trophy 3 times. Archie Griffin did it twice. I'm going to win it 3 times. Well, of course, that dream faded really, really well. So, as a youngster, when you were growing up, brother, what university did you watch on Saturday afternoon and say, "Hey, I want to run for that school. I want to run for that coach"?
It was the University of Michigan.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me? No! Don't tell me that, man! Don't do it! No! Come back! Come back! Come back! Come back to the other side. Joshua, come back to the other side, man.
You never should ask a question when you don't know the answer.
Well, that's why you ask the questions. But go on, man. We won't hold that against you. Go on.
Yeah, I just really loved the school when I was young. Me and my mom, we watched the University of Michigan every Saturday. And those was just like great moments between us two. So
okay, all right.
That's why I like the school.
Well, you know what? I don't like the school. I don't like the state. And my heart was kind of hurt and broken. Why? Because two guys that I really admire, just because they're great human beings to me and they accomplished a lot in their lives, they have connections with that school up north. We call it the school up north. And that, of course, is the great Barack Obama. For some reason, he let his daughter go up to that school. And then the great Michael Jordan. He had nerve enough to have his brand on their uniforms. He signed a deal with them. He signed with the devil, man. He signed with the devil. But we won't hold that against you, brother. Hey, listen, before we let you go, we hope that more colleges get an opportunity to check you out. What have you been doing during the off season, waiting for the decision to be made that we can resume high school sports? What sort of workouts, what sort of things have you been doing to keep your body and your mind in tune for this opportunity?
Well, I've been running the hill by my house like every day or every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have like a bench press and squat rack in my basement. So I've been bench pressing and squatting. And I just really been working on my footwork, really.
No, that's very key. And so at the next level, you talked about Valpo and you talked about Dayton, who are really, really heavy in recruiting you. Will it be at the running back position? Because you're a two-way athlete, and I believe, and you're the captain of the football team. Congratulations. But are you also the middle? Are you also the middle linebacker on defense as well?
Well, I played the sophomore year, but my main position is running back.
Okay. And what's your how do we say it, Marvelous? What's your skill set? Because we see David Montgomery running for the Chicago Bears, and when he gets the rock, he's just a beast to reckon with. We see Tariq Cohen when he gets the rock, he's kind of one of them speedy, the little gadflies that you want to just smack, but you can't catch up to him. What's your forte as far as running the rock?
Well, I believe I'm a very hard runner, and I'm very patient, I let, my old lineman block first and, just look at the play. And I'm very fast, too.
Yeah, hell yeah, you fast. Excuse my language, but you've heard worse, believe me. You playing football in high school in Chicago, you've heard worse than that. But you run a 4.4 740. That's real speed. Quentin Demps, you remember Quentin Demps? He played for the Bears for a couple years or whatever, but he's a co-host on the show. That Quentin Demps made it to the pros. He runs a 4.45
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I ran a 4.5 So you're in good company with the 4.47.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't run that fast. So it says you're 5'9", 175, Josh? Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
sir.
I know that the Pioneer League, I think we need to get you as a full scholarship at a place like Miami University where I went.
Oh, Marvelous will put in some good words for you, brother. He'll put in some good words for you. Hey, man, before we let you go, and we appreciate you taking some time, say hello to your father, Tracy, and, of course, your uncle, Reggie. It's just, you're a friend of the program, man. You're a friend of the program. Now, football isn't your only gift. I understand you're pretty good with the bowling ball. Share with our listening audience what you just did on Friday, man.
Friday, I had a 279, and yesterday, I had a 289 again.
For the Brother Rice bowling team, right?
Wow. It's good.
Correct, yeah. I was one more frame away from a 300.
Are you kidding me? That's amazing. Have you bowled a 300 before?
No, I always came close.
Wow.
9 or 10 strikes in a row, and then I messed with in the 10th frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm going to eventually get it.
Wow. Well,
I feel it.
Man, God bless you, brother, and enjoy your youth, and dominate as much as you can, man, because it goes by fast. But keep running, keep lifting, and get on those books, brother. You go to Brother Rice. That's it's a Catholic League school. Very, very good, brother. Keep it going, and the sky's the limit for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're the best, brother Josh. We appreciate you, man. Stay safe. All the best to the family. Take care, man. Marvelous.
Yeah.
It's the fastest hour in sports conversation, brother.
Do we have to go back on the road now?
On the road again. Seems like I'm always getting back on the road again. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it is the fastest hour in sports conversation. If you miss any portion of the Rewind Sports 60, make sure you check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and, of course, the RewindSports60.com. If you have Comcast in the northern suburbs, on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, Channel 17, Channel 19, and Channel 35 on Comcast. Marvelous. Anything before we let you go?
No, I mean, we'll be doing this. We'll be underway with the Super Bowl next week when we're here, so it should be an exciting game. But don't miss us either.
Don't miss us at all. Thanks to our great producer, Devin Tingle. Lauren Cox, stay safe. Q, the 17th letter. Quentin Demps, talk to you, brother. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Well, gentlemen, ladies,
dang,
we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into this. Lauren will set it up real quick, but before we get into the interview with the chairman of the Chicago Bears, George McCaskey, real quick thoughts, reflections on Martin Luther King, his holiday celebration. He would have been 92 years of age had he still been with us today. Kelly Lee Williams, we'll start with you. In a nutshell.
Oh, we live in a land where we're all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will one day join hands in singing the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Yes.
Thank you.
Q?
Yeah. I was actually like jamming them on the way here. Like, I listened to a couple of speeches on the way here. He talks so good, like
yes.
Like he took his time and pronounced his words.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So rest in peace, man. Much love, much respect, for real.
Marvelous.
Well, I don't think his dream has been fulfilled yet. You know, and I do an impression too. I have a dream.
Come on now.
Really good. I know.
All right, then.
Next,
Lauren.
For me, I think about how inspirational he was and hope. And that's what we need now, hope and inspiration versus inciting, which is what our current president did and is doing. So I think about hope and that inspiration, and we all need much more of that today.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting for me. Thank you so very much for sharing, everyone. It's interesting for me because I'm 58 years of age. It's 2021. And I obviously remember back when Dr. King, I don't remember vividly, of course, but well, the point being is that the struggle continues. And that's sad and disappointing to me because I'm a grown man with kids who are more or less grown, and the struggle continues. And for me, there's something wrong with that picture. There's something definitely wrong with that picture. And you talk about listening to his speech, Q. You're absolutely right, because when I listen to it, if I'm driving in a car, honestly, I want to get out the car and start running.
Yes.
Because it's so powerful.
It's so powerful, that quick.
And the fact that he spoke truth from the heart, and he didn't care. But what gives me hope, and I believe we're really there, based on everything that we've experienced in 2020, and especially with what happened at the Capitol, when he said in his last speech, I may not get there with you.
That's the one I heard.
I may not get there with you.
Yeah.
But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Yes.
When all of this stuff started happening, I said, okay, we're there.
The reckoning is here, Jerry.
We're there. We're here. And ladies and gentlemen, those of you listening to WCPT 820 AM, the Rewind Sports 60, listen, it's got to happen. Everything that we're experiencing and seeing, it must take place. But you have to stay focused. You have to pray up, stay prayerful, keep the hope, and let God's will be done. That's it. Let God do his work. Yep. That's all you have to do. Now, all of you fools out there running around, going crazy, screaming, ah! Hey, listen, you better get right with yourself. But when Martin Luther King, that resonated with me, I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get there. We're on the move.
I've been to the mountain.
Yes, sir. He said, I've been there. He's been there.
Yes.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
Prophesizing his own assassination, really.
Pretty much.
He did.
Yeah,
Lauren, you want to set this up, George McCaskey?
Absolutely. Chicago Bears chairman George McCaskey was on our show today, and I asked him about the quarterback situation, which we all want to hear about. So let's hear George's thoughts on the Chicago Bears quarterback. George, I want to talk about the quarterback situation here. Mitch, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Mitch, but in the event that he doesn't come back, are you open to a possible Watson trade? Sam Darnold is on the table in terms of possibly being able to come to Chicago. Derek Carr, we've got some free agents. Ryan, Dak, Phillip Rivers, we don't know what he's going to do. What are your thoughts on the quarterback situation in Chicago, and are you prepared to make some changes such as that I mentioned before?
Well, all of that, Lauren, is going to be part of, as I said, our end of season evaluation. And again, Bears fans should feel good that I'm not involved in the decision making as far as player personnel decisions are made. I'll say this about Mitchell Trubisky. I can only speak to him off the field. And off the field, he is an outstanding young man. He works hard. He has a passion for the game of football. He loves the game. He loves his teammates. His teammates love him. And I could not have asked for more of a Chicago Bears quarterback off the field than Mitchell Trubisky has given us.
Wait a minute. All those attributes that you just shared regarding Mitchell Trubisky, I some people may argue, but I think I have those attributes. I really believe I had those attributes, George. You think that I could come and suit up
quarterback, Ralph?
Well, I think, you know what, George? I think I can grab the football and dump it over to David Montgomery. I think I can do that. I think I can flare it out to Mooney. I think I could try to do that. And if you want me to go deep downfield, maybe a 30-yarder or 40-yarder, you know what? If I get my arm loosened up a little bit, I think I can get downfield. I might just be able to do that for you.
Well, I can always count on when I'm sitting in the stands watching the game. You see a play on the field and you hear some guy behind you say, "Man, I could make that play." And I feel like turning around and saying, "No, sir, you can't."
Well,
Which is why you and I are here and they are out there.
That's exactly right.
Think about you want to put on the best radio show you can, right? And you come to work every day to excel. Well, how would you like it if there were somebody on the other side of the board who was doing everything he could to make sure that you did not have a successful show? He was, sabotaging the computer, the cart machine, whatever you got going over there. Everything that you were trying to do, he was doing his best to make sure that didn't happen. It's not as easy as it looks. I understand we need to play better. I understand we need to get more wins, and that's our goal.
George, this is Dan again here. I know that when you talk about player personnel, it's really going to be in the hands of Pace and Nagy. So, I mean, you're not going to give us specifics, nor could you at this point, as to what might be done. But Lauren mentioned a number of different possibilities which could happen, and I'm sure that you would approve of anything that would make the Bears better. But so, I mean, I guess you can't speak to specifics. Wouldn't that be true? It's all up to Pace and Nagy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I can't talk about specifics for a couple of reasons. Number one, Lauren mentioned at least one player who is under contract to another team, and it's not it's not permitted for personnel from one team to talk about whether or not they would like to have somebody who is under contract to another team. The commissioner kind of frowns on that, and he makes his disappointment known in the form of monetary fines.
Yeah, he does. He does.
We love him.
He does. One final question, and George, thank you so very much for taking time out on this Sunday to spend with us. Hope you're safe and sound. And again, I echo what Lauren mentioned earlier regarding the handling of COVID-19 and the testing and everything, that we've endured this past year. And I honestly was really surprised. I was one of the negative individuals with the glass half empty. I didn't think that we would get through a full NFL season, let alone get to the playoffs. And, hopefully, it looks like we're going to a Super Bowl. So I commend, despite the positive testings and things that have taken place, I commend the overall execution as far as the Bears organization and what you guys have been able to do up there to protect these players and keep things rolling all season long. So thank you so very much for that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but it's really a tribute to the players all across the National Football League. We're so impressed with our guys who did what was asked of them in terms of testing, physical distancing, mask wearing, proximity tracing, and then to exercise the personal discipline away from the facility that is necessary to make sure that they were available day in and day out to play games. It's just extraordinary when you look at some of the problems that are already occurring as the NBA and the NHL try to resume play, and hopefully baseball very soon. This is a very, very challenging environment, and I think our guys did a great job coping with it.
They certainly did, and you had great people up there helping out as well. One final question, and again, we appreciate you, staying with us and taking our questions and giving us the most candid and honest answers that you could. This is what I'm pitching for. One thing we didn't get a really chance to discuss with you was representation in the front office regarding minorities/women. We've seen what the Blackhawks just recently have done. We've seen what the Bulls have done, as far as their front office is concerned. Of course, Kenny Williams over with the Chicago White Sox, the position he's been in. As far as the Bears are concerned, are there any thoughts to elevate a minority/woman into a decision-making role, whether it's assistant vice president of player, operations or whatever the case may be? Is there anything on the horizon regarding more minority representation in the front office of the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it, because it was about this time last year that we engaged the Kaleidoscope Consulting Group, which is a diversity and inclusion firm, to help us through this process. We've had some great discussions. We had a real meaningful all-staff discussion after George Floyd was killed last spring. And we've had focus groups among the staff and leadership interviews. And the Kaleidoscope Group is helping us work through this process as we move forward. And the way it's been explained to me, it's not simply representation in terms of numbers, as you mentioned. It's people in leadership roles, and it's a culture of acceptance and tolerance, and that's all something that we need to work on. We want the Bears to be a model in this area, and we have our work cut out for us. We have a lot of work to do, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Real quick, and thank you. Very, very well said, but I'm going to help you out here before we let you go. You don't need Kaleidoscope. You can use them, and they can be a source of reference for you. I'm going to give you a few names that I certainly know will do an impeccable job for the Chicago Bears organization that will reflect the leadership in the organization and the results on the football field. You ready for them? You ready, George?
I've got pen in hand.
There you go. You know all of these people pretty much for the most part. Bruce Herron is the first name I'm going to give to you. Bruce Herron, and I'm serious about this because he's been interested in the past to work for the Chicago Bears, a former linebacker, number 51, back in the day, played with the great late Walter Payton, but he was interested in a player personnel position with the Chicago Bears. I don't know if you would reach out and extend a phone call to him and say, hey, we'd like to sit down and talk with you, maybe see if there's a assistant player personnel position for you or something of that organization. But I believe Bruce Herron, with his experience, with his knowledge, and his Chicago roots, would be a great candidate to at least call, sit down, talk with him, and pick his brain about moving the Chicago Bears front office organization into the next realm. And this is another one. The Payton family. I already said.
Before you leave that candidate, I know Bruce Sluggo Herron very well.
Yeah.
I used to pick up his sweaty socks and jocks in the locker room back in the day. He and I go way back. But in terms of any individual, and here's another thing that Bears fans should take great comfort in. I don't tell anybody at the Bears who they have to interview, and I certainly don't tell anybody at the Bears who they have to hire.
Right.
Sluggo's a great guy, but any candidate would need to be interviewed and selected by Ryan and his staff in the personnel department.
Okay, well, just let him.
But who's your next name?
So here's the other one. Now you have to be sitting down for this one. You have to be sitting down for this one because this is the blockbuster here.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Everybody loves Papa Bear George Halas. Because of, we don't even have to say why. But Grandpa Halas loved number 34, as we all do, Walter Payton. May he rest in peace. He has two beautiful children, professional people here in Chicago. Jared Payton over at WGN Channel 9, and Brittany, I believe, is she over at Fox or Channel 2, whatever the case may be. Listen, George, listen, this is what I would recommend. Just me, Jerry Riles. I would seriously consider sitting down, Ted Phillips, sit down with Mama McCaskey, Virginia, and maybe drop a proposal to invite the Payton family in. You can even throw in Eddie Payton, Walter's brother, and offer them 1% ownership of the Chicago Bears to have some type of minority representation for the Chicago Bears and the family. And even if it's at 1% or 10% ownership, and I know that's a lot to ask, but I believe in the contributions that Walter Payton brought to the team, the city, and of course the league, i.e. the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. I think that's something that should seriously be considered with the Halas family and the Bears organization. And I would extend a proposal opportunity to the Payton family to entertain a 1% ownership in the Chicago Bears franchise. What do you think?
Well, we think the world of the Payton family, Connie, Jared, Brittany, and so proud that they are still members of the Bears family after all these years. Just think the world of them. I can't speak for Brittany, but I know we can't afford Jarrett. That guy, his demands would be too. I'm kidding, of course. I have a great relationship with both of them. Mm-hmm. They're absolute naturals on the air, and just a great family. We think the world of them.
Well, the one reason I posed that question, George, is the fact that you know that when Walter, before he left us, he put a bid in to become the minority owner of the St. Louis Rams, I believe, at the time. And the vote came in, and he was denied. And he was crushed. He was devastated. And many of us were, especially in the black community, because of what he brought to the game. But he was devastated and shocked that the owners around the league did not consider him to become a minority owner in the National Football League. And so, we talk some 30 plus years later. When did he pass? 22 years, I think, or somewhere around that time. But the point is, Walter.
November 1st, 1999.
99, exactly. Those of us here who have followed this team since our infants infancy and our baby days, we truly believe that the Payton family deserves some type of representation or ownership in this franchise organization. I understand there's a lot that goes into it, but it all starts with an idea and a conversation. And so we want to just put that conversation out there for you, to marinate. And it doesn't have to happen tomorrow, doesn't have to happen next year, or, maybe a couple of years. But the point is, that's a conversation I think that truly deserves a little more discussion based on what that family means to the city of Chicago and the Chicago Bears franchise.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with all of the reasons that Walter's bid for a team in St. Louis was not successful. I know that we supported it 100%. Walter was a member of our board of directors so that he could be prepared for that eventuality if it ever came about. I'm sorry that it didn't, but Walter's place in the hearts of Bears fans and in our family is solid. I remember my mom, after Walter passed away, said that she and my dad promised themselves after Brian Piccolo passed away that they wouldn't get too close to a player again because it was too painful when Brian passed, and they were able to keep that promise to themselves until Walter Payton came into their lives. He just had an irrepressible personality. Once he decided that he wanted to be in your life, there was no denying him, and we're all the better for it.
George, thank you so very much. We normally keep our guests 10, 15, 20 minutes tops at the most. The great Mayor Lori Lightfoot's been a half hour with us. You are well past that, and we want to thank you dearly for taking the time out of your busy
I appreciate
Sunday.
all this time. I was told it was going to be about 10 minutes. Hopefully you can edit it down and maybe get maybe 30 or 40 seconds of usable material out of it.
I think we can find something. George, thank you so very much. God bless you, and God bless our Chicago Bears. And we don't want to be like the Buffalo Bills. We don't want to be in the stands. Well, we like to be the Buffalo Bills, but I mean, we don't want to have to wait 100 more years to get back to the playoffs and to the championship game. We want another Super Bowl here. So roll up the sleeves and get the job done, and let's go. We beat this pandemic, and let's beat some NFC butt and get back to some winning ways here in the Chicagoland area. Thank you so very much for taking time with us.
We understand the expectation. We're looking forward to the challenge. Go Bears.
Go
Thanks,
Bears.
George.
Thank you so very much. God bless you, sir. Thank you.